Hey guys, how you doing? Ugo here, aka Mr. Teaks, and I hope you're having a lovely day, and I hope life's treating you well. This is the 99 days of value, and this is day 10. So, yeah, we've been going around. We've almost, we've been doing a bit. So obviously, the idea is to every day to add in a little piece of value to your life. That hopefully helps elevate your life into any whatever way you're trying to get to, or help somebody close to you, maybe something you might think about, or different perspective, or whatever it may be. But let's go into today. Now, today we're talking about something that brings a lot of frustration to a lot of people. Something that is how should I say, it's something hard for people to kind of deal with, and that's the aspect of control. A lot of people want to, people are frustrated in their life because partially is because they're trying to control everything that is in their life, and it's not necessarily working out for you because ultimately you don't really have control over most things that are in your life, and it's a frustrating aspect to be in, but it's a freeing aspect when you understand there's aspects of your life you can control and your aspects of your life you cannot control. And then when you reconcile, understand those things, then you can now allow yourself to, prioritize as per what is best for you to use your energy. Because ultimately in this life, we've got time, energy, and money. Those are your three main things that you can expel into the world, into the people, into everything you go into, and how you use those is very vital. So what I'm going to be talking about today is called the circle of control. So if you imagine this is life, this blank canvas, which is, and you got three layers. You got, okay, but you got three layers. You got the circle of control, you got a circle of influence, and circle of concern. Now, sometimes we frustrate ourselves because we're really focusing our energy in things that are control, in our influence or our concern, but not necessarily within our control. So what do I mean? Control are things where you essentially have direct control over. So that's typically ourselves, how we use our time, what we say yes or no to, and it's very important as a sub understanding of what you have control over or not, is that you always have a choice. In most cases, anyway. But 90% of the time, you have a choice. Now, if you look at me and you tell me that you don't have a choice for X, Y, Z reason, probably means you just have a tougher choice. Not that you don't have a choice. It's just that the other choice is not the greatest choice, in your opinion or in anybody's opinion, but it is a choice. Now, there's scenarios where you have the illusion of choice, like, in the issue of a monopoly. So, for example, two companies own, Expedia, Skyscanner, all the travel sites. So when you go to like booking.com, hotel.com, you feel like you're getting different prices, but the same company owns both. So it doesn't matter where you buy it from. There's an illusion of choice there. So there's no real choice because, like, even when you go to like casinos or whatever, the house always wins. So whatever side you bet on, they always win. So there's an illusion of choice there, but when it comes to stuff that you physically have control over, that's the stuff that you have control over in terms of your time, your energy, your money, how you use those things, and the choices you make on that. Now, circle of influence. Now, this is like areas in which, friends, family, colleagues, even your direct, employees who are maybe under you, who you're managing, or people that you're maybe under, you have influence over them. You don't necessarily have control over them. And so sometimes there's a frustration in this scenario when you're trying to control people that you actually have influence over. And influence is a very important thing. You see how that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, it was all about how you influence people, because some people try to control people, and then that comes into like the micromanaging aspect of it. It comes into typically overstepping boundaries. It comes into, whether it's your brother, sister, mother, brother, whoever it may be, you come into, overstepping boundaries, and now, to be honest, putting pressure on people that might end up having them resent you because you don't know how to let go of control and stick to how do you influence people, because you don't have direct control over anybody else. That's typically in a subjugation kind of situation. Now, circle of concern. Now, these are things that somewhat affect you, but you don't particularly have direct, control over. So, for example, mini budget. is in our concern. But you know, there's obviously for some people in different levels of whether it's government life, they have, you know, varying levels of control, influence, concern. So for example, if you're a lobbyist or you're close to the MP, maybe it goes from your concern to influence. You know, that's really shifted. It's gone from concern to influence. If you're in the media, you're probably in a position of influence as opposed to concern. If you're in the party, you're in a position of control. You know, this is person dependent. If you're in a company, for example, if you're in the lowest area of the company, you might be in a situation where you're not even in a circle of influence. You might be in a circle of concern. Maybe the people you might talk to might be in a circle of influence, but you're not in direct situations. So how you expel your energy in terms of what you is within your control, and understand that you can't control everything. Trying to control everything, even in your own life, will bring a lot of disappointment, a lot of resentment to the world, yourself. It'll bring a lot of strife. You know, and obviously I'm one to say take risk and prosper. That's what this life is, and that, to be honest, that one's gonna be its own day of value. But take risk and prosper is an important thing, and understanding when to just let go and go with the flow. Now, some people don't like to go with the flow, but life will make you have to go with the flow. You're gonna have to adapt. You know, in this life, the most important thing you're gonna have to be able to do is to be adaptable, because things change really quickly, and you have to be able to change with it. Because let's say you have a plan, for example, and obviously I've been big about making plans, about goal setting and stuff like that. But what happens when your plans goes out the window? For some people, they just quit because, you know, okay, they can't control the situation anymore, and that's not a position they want to be in. So understanding the differences of what is, you know, when people are very stressed. Now, I did a video some time ago, I shared it on every platform, of 3 things to do when you're burnt out or stressed, and using this method is a very important way. So there's different methods I put in there about using the list method, getting all your issues and putting them into list, and sorting them out in terms of priority, timeline, everything, but also sorting them out in terms of what is actually in your control, what's in your influence, and what's in your concern. Now look, if you sort out everything that's within your circle of control, you now have the space and the bandwidth to sort out what's in your circle of influence. You have the bandwidth to, you know, influence the people around you. Put those things, and then once you sort out those, then you have more bandwidth to do those things within your concern. Now obviously, these things alternate at a time-by-time basis. Like using the list trust situation, for example, or the government, any government in any point of view, what's happening is in your concern. You know, they do a lot of things behind closed door, X, Y, Z. But when it comes to election time, that is very much in your control. Obviously, in a mass sense, who you vote for is in your control. The outcome, you have influence. So even in the same step, there's different things. So using this method allows you to understand, okay, look, people around me are who they are. They're going to be who they are. What do I actually have control over? You know, and understanding that even within your own life, what don't you have control over? Now, for example, my health. I have control over my health in terms of what I eat, in terms of how I exercise, in terms of when I go to sleep, in terms of my time management, all those other things that influence what do I put in. But I don't necessarily, but that's as much control as I have. And to some extent, there's an aspect of control in terms of what I take in, and an aspect of what I influence in terms of my lifestyle. But to some extent, the outcome you can't completely, because you're gonna get sick at some point. That's your body. Your body needs to do trial and error. We need to do a test run and everything, in terms of, if you don't have enough money, you at least have control over how much you try and save. Even if it's £5, £10, but £1, it all adds up, but in terms of things that are actually within your control, if it's like I'm saying, okay, I want to, if let's say I'm in an area that doesn't have groceries, I'm going to have to adapt. My control in that situation is, okay, do I order food in? Do I use Amazon Fresh or whatever it may be? There's always a choice or an option which is within our control. But worrying about things that are outside of control and within our concern, and sometimes we can fill up our brain with a lot of things within our concern that we don't move, and we're not moving forward because we've abdicated our responsibility from the things that are actually within our control and influence, because we are all in this area of influence and concern. So, guys, this has been the 99 days of value. This is day 10. Hopefully this added value to you. Understand that you're not going to be able to control everything. And stop trying to control everything. Stop trying to control every aspect of your life. Things are just going to happen. Just, whether it's from, There's aspects where you can control, and it's important too. From where you can control, that's your responsibility. Take accountability within that. There's areas where you can just influence, but you can't control. For example, the person you're gonna end up with, fall in love with. For example, let's go that one. You can't completely control it. You can influence it based on the settings you put yourself in, where you go and meet people, all that kind of things. You can influence it. But when the feelings take place, then it's not necessarily something you can control or force. And with other things, within our life, there's aspects you can't control. How your friend XYZ or how other people around you think. You can't control that. And cutting everybody off XYZ doesn't really work out, because you're just going to put yourself in the echo chamber, because you want to be in your comfort zone. You can't control these things, but you can influence. If it's somewhere that you disagree with in terms of their thought process, there's no point getting frustrated because you're not changing their mind, or you can't make sure that they agree what you're doing. You can influence it. And then the point of influence, and understand that there's a very big power within this circle of influence. But before you can really influence anybody properly, you have to do what you can do within your circle of control. And then from there, you could potentially expand your circle of influence to get things within your concern to your influence, and things within your influence to your control. It's how you expand what's in your control, your circle of control. So you can start from here, and then you can end up being, let's draw another, let's go completely another circle, because we got flip chart paper. And then your circle of control can go there. Maybe your influence gets smaller, because it's all in your control. And this is your concern. Influence and control. Like, for example, and this alternates from different people to different things. If you were the prime minister of the country, I imagine some problems within the country is within your circle of control can be big. There's aspects within your influence in terms of industry and stuff like that. And there's aspects within your concern, which is what's happening on the other side of the world that you might not have direct influence. But then this looks different from a business point of view to what they can actually control within their personal life, and how much influence they have in their personal life, and what's in the concern. So in different aspects of your life, look at it through the lens of what you can actually control and what you can, and focus on what you can control, expand what you can control into your influence, and then focus on your influence, and then focus on your concern. Because the stuff within the concern area, which is just so far away from what you actually need, what you can actually, control, can take you away from the things you can actually do to affect your life today. So, my name's been Ugo, your name's been blessed. I hope you had a lovely day, and I'll speak to you guys again soon. Well, tomorrow.